From this moment on, you will now be known as Sharkbait.
Sharkbait, ooh-ha-ha!
Welcome, brother Sharkbait.
Sharkbait, ooh-ha-ha!
Enough of the sharkbait.
Sharkbait, ooh!
Hey, what's up everybody? This is D from Brooklyn, coming to you as I look at my tank and realize how old some of the rock is. It's piled up in here against the wall and it's really become kind of like a thorn in my side. So I got my daughter to help me. Thank you, young lady, for holding the camera because I need both my hands to do this. Well, anyway, my tank has been running for over 15, 16 years, probably closer to 17 years. So this rock is pretty old, which results in a lot of dead spots. I've grown coral in here. I've removed coral out of here. You actually have a lot of remnants of the coral that I've pulled out, you know, when you cut them from the base, and it just becomes really a kind of a dirt trap for debris, sediment, and gook in your water, resulting in high phosphates and high sediments in the water. So I'm going to take a lot of this rock out and rescape it so that I can create some better swim space for my fish. I also wanted to increase the circulation in here. I'm playing around with the configuration and I'm planning on creating some new spots to put new corals in the not so distant future. So I'm going to also use some of this rock in what I'm planning, like this piece here. I'm going to probably replace, but some of this rock I'm going to put outside. I'm going to experiment with keeping saltwater fish outside in the greenhouse area. So I hope you click subscribe now, ring the bell so that you can be alerted when I release new videos. So right now I'm going to put all my energy into seeing what rock stays and what rock goes. So just bear with me as I do that right now. Time you got there?
2:43.
Okay, now I know you're looking at the tank and you're hearing the music in the background from the movies going on. Family's watching Winter Soldier. It really doesn't look like I took much rock out of the tank, but you gotta remember this tank's running for about 17 years now, and just to prove I took rock out, there is a whole bunch of rock in here. There's a mushroom colony in there. And I'm using this bucket of old water to clean off the rock. I turned my pumps off so you can see it is a big mess, and there's still a ton of rock in the tank. So little filefish. So what I'm going to do now is decide what rock I'm going to keep in here, because you can see all the sediment from moving the rocks. It's probably a ton of rock that I really don't need. I just piled up to support other rocks. So as I clean it off, it looks like that clean spot. So this is the middle of the project. I'm going to continue to move and rescape, which is difficult when you have fish in the tank. So you can understand why I'm not holding the camera while I do this. But just to give you a shot of how much gunk builds up in a tank when you don't move the rock. I mean, it's really important to get rid of those dead spots. One of the things I'm guilty of is having the pile of rock against the back wall creates a huge dead spot, and you can see the result. Look at all this gook in the water. So I'm going to continue to clean it out and decide what rock I'm going to use, and probably just keep the choice pieces. I had this really nice piece way in the back that I forgot was actually in there. Some really nice rock. And one more thing to mention, when you move rock around, especially removing rock, This does affect your nitrogen cycle, both positive and negative, because the nitrate and phosphate factories that are the old bacteria on the rock, while you are removing that, you're also removing the beneficial bacteria that was cycling the tank. So you may go through a phosphate spike. You're going to go through like a sort of a new tank syndrome. So let me just continue to clean the tank, and I'll bring you some more footage. Captain America playing in the background. My back is killing me, but I did clean the tank. It's still cloudy because it's still a ton of sediment, and I'm sitting here doing my regular with, as you've seen so many times, my turkey baster, because after you clean it and put stuff in there, you know, the sand, that's the only bad thing about sand. The sand is going to continue to gather sediment, which is going to continue to settle on the rock. So I'm going to put my pumps on maximum. My gyre is on medium right now because I had been cleaning around it. And see if I can get a good shot here. And blowing that stuff towards my overflow. Now I did take my overflow box out of the tank for a while and put a few of my kind of hose-like setup so that I could get more water flowing in the general water column into my sump. So I've been running that for a few weeks just to see how much of a difference it made in the tank clarity. You can see one of these rocks right here had been way in the back, in this back corner, so you really never got to see how pretty it is, and it actually had a few mushrooms on it that I've completely aggravated. But the tank is really looking open now, and I took a lot of rock out. Let me see if I can switch the camera. My hands are wet. Now you really can't see a lot because it's still clouded up, but this whole area was just a pile of rock in the back, and I moved a lot of rock out. They're all the rocks I took out, just pieces. They don't look big in the camera, but this is about the size of my hand. These are all about the size of my hand. I even had this big flat piece of green what looks like shale in there as a kind of a ground rock. I don't even know. Sometimes you just end up with tons of rock, and you really don't need that much rock. Between the rock, the coral, the sump, you have a lot of surface area for biological filtration, not even counting the sand bed, which is a positive and negative of sand. The negative being that it clouds up like this because I'm using a really fine sand, which holds a lot of crap, because I got it a long time ago when I was young and dumb, and here we are. It holds, like you see, I scraped the glass. I didn't clean the glass yet. I'll save that for the last piece of this film. Just to show the how much rock I moved, how much space it freed up. My goal is to create more swim space for my fish. I got quite a few fish that are getting pretty big, and you can see them grazing now because I brought a lot of rock to the forefront, but swim space and to eliminate dead spots in the tank are my main goal. This was a real clouded up spot. Now the fish can swim in and out of all of those little crevices, and I'll probably move the gyre further to the back just to circulate the water in the back more instead of focusing so much on the front and clearing that sediment off the rock. You can see the gyre pulls water towards it, and it's running really high. You can see up here it's running. Then I have another 1400 gallon per hour pump here. I may just add my old Seche pump back here. I left a mount for the Seche on the side just to see if I would like it there. But I may add that one back to increase the flow, because this tank has a lot of dead spots. The more rock you add, the more dead spots you create, and cloudy water is the result. So if any of you out there are building a tank, that's one thing to consider. Also, if you don't have sand affected creatures like gobies and stars and things, you really don't need a lot of sand. I'll probably take a lot of this sand out because you really don't need a lot of sand. Even for gobies, probably 1 inch of sand maximum. I removed a lot of the sand, and there's still a lot of sand in the back of the tank, which these fish dig up and kick to the front. and I'll probably remove that now. So let me get out of filming and do that and let the tank clear up. So as I promised, the tank is settling out. I moved quite a few of the corals around. You can look and see that a lot of the corals that I used to have a while ago I took out. I'm deciding what other pieces I'm going to put in here, and since it was so like crowded up with so much rock, that was one of the reasons I said let me remove some rock, clean up the rear end of the tank, and kind of improve the circulation. Now, oddly enough, there were some pieces attached to rock that I hadn't realized, like this, what looks like a tulip, which is actually a nice cabbage leather. On this branching piece of rock, which I thought was really cool, it gives it like a nice centerpiece look. There's a little bit of sediment still floating around in the tank, and that's to be expected because there's still little pieces of dust in the water column, which I still have to move around. But one of the things I wanted to alleviate is, see that rear area in the tank frees up a lot of swim space. The fish can swim down, they can swim in and out of spaces, especially my larger fish, like my tile fish. He usually just kind of swims near this pump, near the gyre, so I thought that was pretty cool. I know you guys are wondering what that is. That is pretty much a surface skimmer. I'm not using it, but I had it in my inventory of tons of junk that I have in the tank. And in this end of the tank, you can see a lot of sediment still on the rock versus the middle of the tank where the water really crashes and meets from both pumps. So I'll probably clean that up a little more. I may move things around a little bit as days go by, because once again, looking at how the circulation is in the tank. And you know, it's good to do that when you have a tank as old as I have. This tank is really old. I had it with fish in it. I had tons of coral. Just like the tank downstairs, when it gets crowded, I take things out. I kind of get tired of it. And this rock had been sitting for years and years and years. Some pieces I didn't need. Some pieces I like. This one I thought I'd make a little cave. My hawkfish loves this area and has been sitting in it every day. I removed a lot more sand. There he goes. There he goes. Hey, Mikey. He loves it. When I come over here, he sits like a stage. He's not scared of me. These guys are really cool. Yeah, but increasing the circulation, getting the sediment to go into the overflow. Since I removed the box, I'll be putting the box back in. You can see a lot of salt creep on the back. That's old, but once again, since I had all that rock piled up, it was something I never noticed, that I had salt creep on the back of the tank. And that's it. So improves circulation, improves swim space, makes the fish a lot more secure. They come out a lot more when they have a lot of space. If you crowd them up with rock and they have to shoot to the back of the tank, guess what? That's what they'll do. They'll shoot to the back of the tank. But when they have swim space and hiding places in plain view, it tends to make them a lot more secure, especially these guys, my little 6-line rafts. Two of them are really cool. So that's it. I'll back up. Dining room was a bit of a mess because I've been junking it up with my fish stuff. And that'll be my update for today. So leave your comments below. You like it, you love it, really doesn't matter. Love, live, and be fair and happy to everybody. So till next time, this is D. Keeping my sanity by keeping my aquariums nice, stress break, relief. Sit down, relax, take your mind off the cruel work day and watch your fish swim. That's what I do. This is what you do. We're all crazy fish people. See ya. Love, peace, and hair grease.